Wow, many feelings and thoughts came up for me throughout this day. But one has stayed with me more strongly than all the others. We already know too much to continue thinking about animals and about our relationship with them in the same way. Throughout the day, I feel that we moved between the traumas of human and non-human animals. We heard about resilience, attachment, loss, longing, presence, and the struggle to remain connected to life after pain. And we challenge also familiar myths that tell us animals are simply there for human encounters and do not pay a price, or the myth that animals simply live in the here and now. We don't need more evidence in order to recognize emotional complexity across species. And no, this is not anthropomorphism. This knowledge is already here. So I ask myself, how can emotional similarity become a foundation for care rather than human use? Today we encountered initiatives from around the world that are already operating from a different paradigm, one grounded in recognition and responsibility, and projects that remind us how difficult it has become to hold dialogue itself, but remind us that it's also possible. How human voices are sometimes silent alongside the silent voices of other animals. And how urgently action for rights, protection, and dignity is needed in moments of collapse, pain, and war, especially in these moments. I think one of the most meaningful aspects of today was the feeling that our field itself in the midst of an important development shift. The knowledge we now hold calls us to move to the next stage. When I saw the collection Lori assembled of foundational articles on animal welfare, I was so excited. But then I was really, thinking about the next collection, Lori. I found myself imagining the next one that is going to be on, going to focus not only on welfare, but also on rights, agency, and sentience. Not only asking whether suffering is minimized, but also asking what is the story behind the setting. Are we continuing to work with spaces where animals are brought into captivity for our needs? Are we supporting industries of trade while calling it care? I think that the next step in our field must be a movement from discourse focused only on welfare toward one centered also on right, agency, protection, and flourishing. I invite you not only to reflect, but also to act. And so I cannot think of a more meaningful way to close this day than to pass the mic to someone who calls precisely for that movement, from awareness to responsibility, and from reflection to action. Philip Tedeschi, are you here? Philip, if you can unmute him. Philip Tedeschi is the founder and director emeritus of the Institute for Human-Animal Connection at the University of Denver, and a globally recognized expert on interspecies justice and the healing power of the natural world. Philip.
Hi, Gal. So good to see you and hear your voice, and greetings to all my friends and colleagues there. I miss you deeply. Can't wait to see you in person, and thank you so much for inviting us to say a few words at the end of this amazing event that you have been collaborating on and curating today. We would love to tell you a little bit about the work that we're doing. So many of you probably who know me know that I was the director and founder of the Institute for Human-Animal Connection at the University of Denver, and have worked closely with many programs in Israel over the years as well to further these ideas. More recently, I have stepped down and taken the role in a brand new institute at the university that is a collaboration between our graduate school of social work and our law school. And the charge of this new institute has been moving legal standing for animals forward. In the United States and in many places in the world, animals continue to be seen legally as property. And the limiting aspects in our treatment of other animals continues to be the fact that they have the same legal positioning as any other item that we can purchase or own. So in the work that we have been doing most recently, we have been working with the International Association for Human-Animal Interaction Organizations, presented a concept last summer at their international conference that we refer to as sentience-centered practice. The science into the cognitive and emotional lives of animals is now incontrovertible. There really is, largely no scientific question that virtually all animals have this capacity for these deeper capabilities of sentience. My interest over the years, having been involved in the human-animal interaction field, is a deeper question around our field's obligation to starting to influence the ways in which animals are treated, in part because we have been the promoters of this concept of human-animal connection or the human-animal bond. And I think now what we really have right in front of us is an opportunity to influence the broader conversation about how animals should fit into our societies. I hope that our field is interested in more than just the therapy animals that we're working with, but really all sentient beings, including all non-human animals in that prospect as well. We really are a voice for, in many cases, animals that are voiceless. Now, the challenge ahead of us is significant, but I think one of the ways that we could demonstrate our own commitment to this process is to replace welfare-framed concepts for the well-being of animals and insert or reimagine how we would think about advocating for animals to be much more justice-oriented, or as Gal is mentioning, really thinking about this through a rights-based orientation. And one of the reasons I think that we know that we need to do this is not only the ethical imperative or the moral imperative of our responsibility to other animals, but for the clinical rationale as well. There's really now good reason to believe that there is no chance of there being a therapeutic benefit to having contact with animals that they themselves are not also flourishing. So what we would like to do is invite you to get to know the work we're doing. This new institute is called the Institute for Animal Sentience and Protection. You can find us at the University of Denver. And I have with me my colleague, Angela Gysi, who has been critical in the development of these ideas. And Gal, if we have that one slide, do we have a slide that we could put up for people? There we go. So what we are inviting you to do, it is in your handbook as well. So if you need to find it that way, but there is a QR code that will take you directly to what we're calling the Declaration of Animal Sentience in Animal-Assisted Services. This has now been adopted as a declaration by IAHIO. It's also published on their website. You can find it there under their declarations. And we would be honored if you would take the time to look at this declaration, consider bringing it into your own organization and adopting it in the practices. We're also very interested in your feedback and engagement on these ideas. We're stronger together. We have to work together on these issues, but I think we're at this point long past the point where we should be no longer really limiting the way we talk about the well-being of the animals to the 5 freedoms. Those are the minimum necessary standards to, literally not be engaged in basic forms of cruelty and abuse, right? So the 5 freedoms are really the floor, or the minimum standards. We believe that the future of our profession in many ways, ethically and clinically, will be dependent on whether we're able to be beginning to move towards a sentience-centered practice approach. So this is the work that we're doing these days, and we hope that it's useful for you as an organization, and really believe that this conference and its entire framework is value aligned. So thank you very much for the opportunity to share this with you, and glad to answer any questions. And Angela will also be here to help me with that as well.